Welcome everybody to this live stream. Daily live streams on my channel, but today we have our special Sunday edition with our special guest. Who's here with us?
Hey,
It's acting my beautiful. Who are you?
I'm your wife, and I'm
Really?
a very intelligent, beautiful woman.
Of course, absolutely. Today we're here to celebrate women. We're here to celebrate women,
Exactly.
no matter if they were born a woman or if they transitioned.
Exactly.
Exactly. See, we're trying not to get canceled. But before we hopped on this live stream, I swear, Acty and I spoke for at least a good 2 hours before this live stream because I'm trying my best not to get canceled in this thing. I want everybody to know before you watch this video now or in the playback, Acty and I are both supporters of the trans community. Acty, would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
We have no homophobia in our bodies.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I'm waiting for your confirmation.
No, I agree with everything you're saying.
Okay. We have no homophobia in our bodies, no transphobia in our bodies. I would say both of us are, good leftists, as in that we want to see the best for all people across the planet, regardless of their background, their race, nationality, religion. We're only here to advocate for what's right, for everybody. Would
Yeah,
you agree?
I agree. And the reason why we have these talks is that so that we are able to understand others better, basically. We always try to, get in that sort of a mindset similar to what they have and what type of struggles, they have, and just try to understand them better. And, excuse us if we make mistakes sometimes because we are like not transgenders, we're like straight people, but we are just, trying to do the best to understand everyone.
Yeah, yeah. So exactly what she says. So I think it's good to start this off with our pronouns. So what are your pronouns, Acty?
My pronouns are she and her. What are
And
yours?
my pronouns are he, him, and big top. All right, so yeah, we're only going to be on here for an hour. We always plan on being here for an hour, but lately the conversations we've been having on live have been great. So sometimes we stick around for a bit longer, especially when it gets heated. But listen, this is the first time on my channel that I've ever spoken out about trans people or spoken anything on my channel about trans people because I'm going to keep it absolutely honest with you. It's not something that I am greatly interested in. I'll keep it at that. I'll be absolutely honest with you. I feel like we have a bigger dog to fight, as in the battle against white supremacy and anti-blackness and violence across the world against people who are poor and dispossessed. And while trans people and gay people are a part of that struggle, I don't feel like I have a lot to contribute in that discussion, and I would rather focus my attention on other things. But I came across this Instagram post from this article from the Washington Post that had this very interesting article about this young man. Pardon. See, I already messed up.
Already got canceled.
Canceled. I'm canceled. About this young woman who is a trans woman who went to the University of Wyoming and joined a sorority. Acty and I read the article in the Washington Post from beginning to end right before this live stream. So, Acty, could you summarize the story for us?
Okay, well, it's a long and hard, challenging story, but I'll do my best. So basically, this girl who transitioned and is now a trans woman, and she wanted to find a home because she was raised as a Mormon, and she didn't have a lot of people that she could come out to and share her feelings. So she decided when she enrolled in the university she wanted to join a sorority because she heard like one of her friends were telling her like it's a great community there, they support me, and it's like a family. So, and then she got accepted to the sorority, and I guess like one of the parents from Australia or something like that, which was weird. They objected it, and some other girls. I think it was in total 7 girls from like 40 something girls objected that she was enrolled in the sorority, and they started a lawsuit against her. And you know, along all of this, she struggled a lot with people in campus and outside of campus, with transphobia, you know, people bullying her, sending her death threats, and all sorts of stuff that she struggled with. But basically, in the end, um, at the end of that lawsuit, she won because, interestingly, a 84-year-old judge from Wyoming actually said like the claims against her was unreasonable, and you know she should be able to, you know, have a place in the sorority. And she ended up like being, you know, legally able to stay in the sorority, but you know, like she was still going through that social discrimination. But you know, legally she had a victory. That's how I would summarize it.
Yeah, that's a great summary. And the story overall, like when I heard it from beginning to end, it was kind of inspirational a little bit to see somebody go through so many struggles, and how callous and how, mean spirited the world can be to somebody who's just trying to find a place in the world. Because when you go to university, and you're in university right now, you've been in university, since I've met you, you're
Mhm.
still, growing as a person and developing as a person. And I've seen you grow up, a little bit right in front of me. And I
Yeah.
remember when I was your age, I know I sound old, but I was very similar. Like I was growing, learning myself, trying to find my place in the world. And that's what everybody is doing at that time. And then, imagine going through all of that, but then the whole world is attacking you. Like in the story, there was a guy who was like a Christian crazy pastor who would come to campus and put up signs saying, this girl is really a man. Like God made man and women different. And, you
Yeah.
know, all the mean girls in the sorority ganging up on him, and, people, you know, protesting against him. I mean, her. Sorry, I can't. I'm so bad at the pronouns. I'm bad at
Yeah,
the pronouns.
for you.
Like the whole world going against this young girl who wants to just find a place in the world. It was like very crazy to see that story. I don't know. And so I got a lot of inspiration from it. But what did you get? What did you get from the story?
I mean, like you said, it was extremely inspirational, and for me, I felt sad as a woman that we are just so unable to, you know, accept someone who is so similar to us and who's like, you know, ready to go through the same like, and maybe even more struggles to become a woman, to be accepted as a woman. And it was just like sad for me, and I was, you know, but also very inspirational. And I once again was reminded how rural America can be very scary for you, you know, if you don't fit the norm.
Yeah, because there was a part of the story that you read about a hate crime that happened in Wyoming, in the city of Laramie, where the university was, where basically a few decades ago, I believe in the 80s or in the 90s,
Yeah.
a gay student was kidnapped by some other students, pistol whipped, tortured while alive, and then burned alive, and died there. And that was a horrible story that I didn't even know about, but I was not surprised to hear about that happening in America. You get what I'm saying? Because places like Wyoming, Nebraska, Kansas, North Dakota, South Dakota, Louisiana, where I'm from, that's normal for people to be targeted for their race, their sexual orientation, religion, whatever. Like, unfortunately, that's the type of country we live in. And, Artemis was walking a very dangerous line, in that sort of space. You get what I'm saying?
It was also very cruel because in the article it also mentions that she's in the autistic spectrum. And so you have like this, you know, like sort of like a helpless person who's just like trying to be normal, and she's also like struggling socially because of her like condition. So like it was just very cruel for, you know, those people to just like leave everything and, you know, make hating her and, you know, marginalizing her the first thing in their agenda.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the people that were mainly bothering this young girl, and that's the first time I got it right. That's the first time I got it right. The main people that were bothering this young person on college campus were adults, like people who should have had their own lives, people that should have had stuff going on. But you take time out of your day to go and mess with some person who's a kid on campus. And the thing is, a lot of these people did it under the cover of religion and under their Christianity. And that was so bothering to me. And that's the most bothering thing. And I think you can relate to this because that's a part of the reason why you don't, vibe with Islam and Turkish religion. And,
Mhm.
because in my country, all we saw from religion is hypocrisy, big hypocrisy, because, all the Christians in America do is pick on the most weak and vulnerable people, gay people, trans people, immigrants, refugees, that sort of stuff. And that's sort of why not one of the main reasons why, but a big reason why I have kind of no respect for American Christianity and, that sort of stuff. I don't know. Do you want to add on that?
No, that was like you used the exact word that was going through my head, like hypocrisy, because that's why, like you said again, I don't vibe with like any sort of radical religions, because they have like this notion that, oh, we're so pure and we love humans, and we're just here to be good to everybody, but then they're the ones who are the worst to everybody. They're the ones who are worst to those help different people, like different in terms of the society. So like, yeah, that's why I don't vibe with them, because they tell one thing and they do another, and they hide behind religion.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the people that weren't attacking Artemis for religion, they were attacking it, they were attacking her. I'm so bad.
They
I, they were the people that weren't attacking Artemis for religion were attacking Artemis for uh, basically feminism, right? Like we
Mhm.
watched the interview of the sorority sisters who filed the lawsuit against Artemis, trying to kick her out of the sorority, and they were saying we want sisterhood. I thought when I joined the sorority it would be about sisterhood, and then in the lawsuit, I believe somebody gave this quote: I don't want to give up my rights as a woman to make a man feel easier or happier and that sort of stuff. And that's sort of the hypocrisy of almost any ideology that,
Yeah,
you can say that as a woman, I don't want to make myself feel better to make a make myself feel worse to make a man feel better. But that's what a lot of women do all of their lives. A lot of women go through horrible things and make themselves lower just to make men feel better, or the
yeah.
world makes it that way for them. And yeah, I don't know. What do you think
that,
about that?
that sounds like fake feminism. Because yeah, like we as we talked about this before, like privately, this is like this is like the only case where actually, like, you know protecting that person, that woman, transgender woman, is not going to do any harm to your womanhood or your freedom, or your anything. But at the same time, you're like getting plastic surgery, putting on makeup. Not that it's only put on for that purpose. These things are done for different types of purposes today, but uh, those girls, they looked like they were dressing up for guys, and doing this or that for guys. And that's just very, again, hypocritical, because that is what takes away your freedom. That is what takes away from like your right to express yourself freely. Not the autistic trans girl who just wants to be like a quiet person in the room.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. And damn, I was gonna say something, but yeah, basically, yeah, these girls acting like, having a trans person in their midst is like taking away their rights as women to just express themselves as women, when that's not really the case. Like men around you like we are in all parts of society, doesn't take away your ability to express your femininity or to practice your gender and that sort of stuff. And just the hypocrisy all around was so annoying from the people that were against her, because these same girls who were saying that this violates our Christian morals or ethics are the same ones that we know are getting piped down on campus. Like, let's keep it a buck. A lot of people on college campuses are getting piped down every way and around. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Premarital sex
I don't know
happening.
about that much about sororities or fraternities in America, but from the movies I watched, it seems like that.
A lot of premarital sex happening on college campuses. I love that phrase. And then on top of that, just fake feminism, like you said. I should not do these live streams lit, but it's more fun when it's lit and it gets a bit hot.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of fake feminism going down, talking about we're standing up for women's rights and that sort of stuff, but it's not the case. It's not the case. But yeah, another thing I wanted to that I thought was interesting was this was Artemis. A lot of the people that were attacking Artemis were pointing out his stature. Like he's 6'2", which is like 190 centimeters plus, and then he weighs like 260 pounds, which I don't know what that is in kilos, but that's a lot. So he was a big. She is a big girl. Why do you think people were always bringing up her size and her weight and her height and that sort of stuff in the article?
I mean, that's like, you know, if you look at it one way, that's an excuse just to exclude him from the sorority. But at the same time, when you think about it, also like inside, womanhood, there's that discrimination of size, and that's a real thing, in like circles within women. So yeah, that was also like, uh, fat phobia, as well as like transphobia, just like, coming together to create this one big ball of hate.
Hmm.
But like, if you think about it, there are all types of women around the world. Big women, like petite women, women who dress more masculine, women who cut their hair off. All types of women are starting to like present themselves differently. There are much more masculine women coming to the scene and making us proud that, it's okay to not be feminine. It's okay to, present yourself however the way you feel comfortable. So it's kind of like dumb to pick on this woman just because she's like tall and overweight,
Right.
because
Right.
we have those types of women in our community as well, like what they call biological women. We have it as well.
Right. Right. Like Chloe.
Stop, no. Chloe is a big girl, but she's also like a feminine girl as well.
Yeah, I saw her in person, and she's a statuesque person. She's very tall and very, very Chloe.
Okay, about this after the live.
I'm sorry. I love you.
Not being
I,
feminine.
I love you. Anyway, but yeah, so bringing up her size and her weight and that sort of stuff, it felt very like how men, constantly judge women. A lot of men get on there and just, roast women about their size and appearance, and it felt very, hypocritical for women to be doing that to other women and that sort of thing. But what do you think about this? And I can't have an opinion about this really because I'm not a woman. But what do you think about the idea that women should like gatekeep who is a woman, who gets to be a woman, who gets to be called a woman? Because, like, these are women saying that we want a space for a specific type of woman. Because let's keep it real, and I'm going to play devil's advocate. None of them ever said really that Artemis does not have a space, does not deserve to be called a woman. But maybe that they were implying, and maybe they didn't have the language to say that we want a space for women who have always been women, born women, and dealt with life through and through as women, and didn't just transition to being a woman 5 years ago or 4 months ago. You know what I'm saying? What do you think about that?
I mean, for me, I honestly don't see a difference between like a space with only women, like only biological women, and then like a mixed group of women who are like biological, cisgender, and trans women. So for me, I would feel like the same sort of safeness in both like environments. And in terms of like us gatekeeping womanhood, like I just it that just feels cruel to me because on the other hand you have this person who says that she is not comfortable in that body and that she doesn't want to be like a man, let's say, and she's just like hating herself because of it, and it causes like bunch of different stuff in her life, like mental health problems and maybe even physical problems and things like that. So like, is it worth it to gatekeep womanhood for the sake of that? I don't know. I would say no. I would say no in general.
I mean, I think a person might want to gatekeep womanhood in certain spaces because wouldn't there be experiences that are unique to women who were born women, like what we consider biological women, traditional women, whatever you want to call it, and then spaces for trans women? Because wouldn't the experiences be very different? Like, if it was possible for there to be transracialism and white people could choose to be black for whatever reason, right? I don't know if they would really understand coming into a fully black space if they transitioned into being black a year ago, yesterday.
Yeah,
Like, maybe there might be a difference in experience and a difference in points of view. So, I mean, wouldn't.
but it's different because when, let's say, if there was such a thing called transracialism, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but if that was a thing, white people who transition to be black people would give up their privileges technically, right? um let's say they could look black, they get surgery and they would give up their privileges. But when someone says, okay, like I'm born a man, but I want to be a woman and I feel comfortable, more comfortable as a woman, when that person like uh, transforms, they are not only like taking up all the, you know, fucked up stuff that comes with being a woman, but then they're also taking on more. They're making themselves like even less privileged than the group that they wanted to be in.
Mm,
Because
that.
yes, women are like marginalized in some areas, but trans women are even more marginalized.
Mm,
So they're able to take that risk just to be comfortable in their own selves.
that's a
So
very interesting point.
yeah, like, so if someone is like, taking a risk to go through something as fucked up as that, I feel like they deserve to, like, come to our gates and we should open our gates. Uh,
That's a very interesting point because one of the best books I ever read in my life is a book called Your Face and Mine, and it's about transracialism. Basically, it's about this guy who, I believe in the story. I read it like 10 years ago now, but basically, this guy was married to a black woman. His wife dies in a car crash, and he misses her so much that he wants to go through life as her. So he goes through this special surgery that basically turns him into a black person,
mhm.
and he forfeits all of his privilege as soon as he becomes black. So he witnesses life through the eyes of a black person and that sort of thing. And what you're saying, what you just said right now, is very different. That if there was a way for people to transition into different races, most likely they would give up all of their privileges and just assume the status of the underprivileged group that they would join into, or the privileges of the group that they would transition to. But you're
Yeah,
saying if somebody transitions into being a woman, it's different because they're going to, you know, like face even harder situations than women, right? Because
yeah,
trans people, let's keep it real, are sort of seen at the bottom of society right
yeah,
now.
yeah,
And I think there's a lot of merit in that. I think that's true to some degree. I just wonder if, like, that's helpful towards helping trans people really, be advocates and allies of women that they should be or want to be? Doesn't that sort of like alienate trans people from the women community? Like to say, okay, you guys are women, but y'all are in a separate group. Meanwhile, like if women are having their rights taken away or getting abused and treated as second class citizens like they are in many parts of the world and in culture, aren't you like alienating a group of people that can like be on your side? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I'm not alienating. The society is alienating them.
Hmm.
Like I'm not the person who's saying, okay, so yeah, y'all like decided to give up your male privileges, so like now you're gonna have to be like worse than us. I'm not saying that. Uh, the best case scenario, they would have the same rights as women, and we'll just go through the struggle together because we're struggling too. So it would be like transracialism.
Mm,
A white person transition into a black person, then they're just going to be at the same level with the black person. So that would be the best case scenario for us as women in general, including like trans women and cis women.
mm. I
And
mean, that's
if together we can go higher and like beat y'all, that would be even better.
we don't
But
want.
long way.
We want peace, men. On behalf of all men, we want peace. Why can't we get along?
I know you want peace, but not all men want peace.
I want a piece of pussy.
This is not the place. You too.
anyway, another thing that I think is interesting in the Artemis story, and I think this leads into the topic of this live stream. We haven't even gotten to the topic. I titled the live stream, Should Trans Kids Be Able to Transition Before They're 18? Because Artemis is a person who does not pass very well. And for people that don't know, passing is like when a trans person is more easily identified with the gender that they want to ascribe to themselves. And he looks more like a man than he does a woman. He has broad shoulders and he's very tall and that sort of stuff. And he grew up in Wyoming under very conservative parents. And so they probably, no, they definitely would not have approved of him taking hormone blockers or, you know, um, anything that would have helped him transition earlier.
Mhm.
Do you think Artemis's situation would have been easier had he transitioned earlier and had access to sort of the medical things that would have allowed him to, you know, be more like a woman?
I mean, I don't know the specifics of like, treatment. I don't know if it works on everybody because like naturally sometimes some men have more feminine features even though they might be like cis men, and then some men have like more masculine features. So I don't know if it applies to like all types of people or all types of men, if it has that power, the hormone therapy. But um i I do think that if Artemis was a passable looking trans woman, she would not potentially might like go through the same things that she went through.
Mm. I
If
mean, possibly.
like
I mean,
because if she looked like 16, no, 20, what was her age? 21. If she looked like a 21-year-old Caitlyn Jenner, because Caitlyn Jenner is pretty passable,
well,
right?
Caitlyn Jenner is not passable. Stop
Yeah,
it.
she is.
No, she's not. No, she is
That's
not.
because we've known her as Bruce Jenner a lot for
Caitlyn
a bit.
Caitlyn Jenner couldn't pass a driver's test. Like people would drive past that woman and say, "That's a man." That's the driver's test.
Compared to Artemis, she's passable.
No, Caitlyn Jenner is passable on TV and on magazine covers and on Instagram because there's Photoshop. There's Photoshop. Caitlyn Jenner could not pass. Caitlyn Jenner couldn't pass the eye exam. The eye exam is when you say EFGC. Oh, Caitlyn Jenner, that's a man. Like she could not pass the eye exam. Period.
Anyway, Simon, I'm saying that if she was like a dainty little boy when she was growing up and then she just had to like put on a wig and some makeup, and that she would be able to pass, I feel like the whole thing would be easier for her, because that is kind of like a pretty privilege in terms of the trans community. I feel like there's a pretty privilege. Like if you're like a little bit of a more, masculine looking trans woman, you get definitely like more bullied, I feel like.
I mean, there's pretty privilege in every community. Within men, there's a whole section of social media for black men called Handsome Gang. Have you heard of Handsome Gang before?
No.
It's where black men specifically go on and post pictures of themselves and talk about I'm handsome gang, and then they post uh, tips and tricks about how to navigate life as a handsome man, because apparently life is so hard to be handsome. Women follow you down the street, they honk their horns, they pull at your penis randomly at the pizza shop. Life is hard being a handsome man. I've never had those problems, so I guess I'm not handsome gang. I just got to be broke boy bullies. So we broke boy
Wow.
bullies on this side. But there's there's pretty privilege in everything. So yeah, there's
Yeah,
pretty privilege with
I'm
women and men and trans people. What?
I'm just saying, don't tell me what.
Talk to me.
Not with that aggressive what.
I didn't mean to sound aggressive. I'm just lit right now. Cheers.
Anyways, I know there's pretty privilege in all like sort of circles, but the pretty privilege is more prominent in the transgender community, because if you can pass, it's like what you say about being black all the time. You say that if you're black, you're never not going to be visibly different.
No, visibly the same. You're never not going to just blend in.
Yeah, you're never gonna blend in, and I feel like with them it's the same. Like you're never gonna blend in if you're like a more taller, more overweight, or if you have more masculine traits, you're never gonna really blend in. But if you, I don't know, if you have like more feminine look to yourself, then it's gonna be easier for you to blend in, and it's, yeah. So with that, going to your question, I guess if those hormone therapy pills, whatever, if they can like transition Artemis to be like more feminine in terms of her future, then yeah, like it could have made her life easier.
Yeah, I think so. But I think the
Yeah.
thing is, I want to say Ozzy just jumped in. Shout out to Ozzy. Ooh, this is an interesting topic to debate. Let's also get to some other comments. C Doggo is an interesting guy. He's a new guy on my channel who I allowed to stay. C Doggo is an interesting person because he's obviously a very right wing Hungarian person who's popped in on some of my comments. And I've allowed some of his comments to stay because there's good information in them. But C Doggo just comes in my comment section and lies. This is the guy I was telling you about earlier, AKDI, who lied and said that Turks sent Hungarians to Sudan as slaves. And with a quick Google search and with a quick search of history, that's obviously not true. So C Doggo is obviously a right wing person, but my channel is open to everybody, right wing people, left wing people, people in the center, as long as you're speaking with some truth and as long as you're not an ass. So shout out to C Doggo. He says no about trans people, which is not unusual because he's a right wing person. But yeah, Ozzy, we're getting into this topic. But let's get back to the main thing. So I think passing is about more than just hormones and whether you have titties or whether you have thick thighs or whether you have long curly hair or big puffy lips or whether you are really thick around and you have a nice rear that your husband likes to grasp and hold and that sort of thing. You get what I'm saying? Like I think passing is about more than that. You get what I'm saying? Is
I think it's more than looks.
yeah,
That,
it's more than just your physical form. It's
but
about
physical. It's like passing is your first impression of that person, and if that person is able to pass your first judgment.
right. But just the point I'm trying to get at here is that I think passing is more than just the physical things. It's also about the mannerisms, the way like a certain. It's about performing femininity, if that makes sense. And femininity is more than just wearing the clothes or having the physique of a woman. I think it's also about performing it as well. And I think you know, Artemis not only missed the biological part of it, but the performance part of the feminine experience. The, certain mannerisms or being able to carry himself, you know, and that sort of thing. And being able to carry himself as a trans person, that's why I think in the article they were talking a lot about him putting the pillow over his thing, because people might assume that to be him hiding an erection when he could just be cold or whatever. Like, I hope this makes sense what I'm trying to say here, but I just feel like there's a part of this story that's like, Artemis missed the ability to grow up like a woman because he lived in a transphobic community. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, no, I mean, I understand, like, maybe what you're saying also because she grew up in a Mormon house. I'm guessing that within that community, it's not that's popular for women to express their femininity as openly as, maybe another community, because they were, from what I know, they were like longer, looser dresses, for example, and things like that. And they value like that purity aspect of being a woman. So maybe, yeah, that could be the reason. But maybe even if there's a possibility also that even if she took hormone pills, then she would still not have gained that womanhood mannerisms.
Right. Well, I don't think the mannerisms come from pills. I just think that comes from practice. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's why I said maybe even if she took the pills, it still wouldn't be the same.
Right, exactly. It wouldn't have been the same, but it would have helped. It would have stunted his growth. It would have helped him, become, develop breasts, that sort of stuff, and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. Uh,
You want
so
the comments?
you can go into the comments, read it for us.
Okay. Well, C Doggo said, I'm not right wing, just a historian. I understand trans people more happy if they can start the process before they turn to their original gender, but also there are many risks. Many people of my age is does not think about their future, and they also confused about themselves. What if they change their mind?
All right, so let's get into the topic. We've been 37 minutes talking about the story of Artemis, so we're going to get into our topic. But first and foremost, I want to answer that comment from C Doggo. C Doggo said he's a historian, but a historian, number one, doesn't lie, or a historian does the research. And C Doggo, you lied about you were lied or you were blatantly misinformed about the Turks sending Hungarians to Sudan to be slaves. That's a lie, or that's just you pulling shit out of your ass. Literally, you pulled some shit out of your ass, or somebody lied to you and you passed it down. That never happened in history, period. The second thing, let's get into the topic though about
I can.
trans people. He said he can link it, but it's just going to be some Hungarian right wing website that does not have any sources to it. If that did happen, listen, white people never forget when off whites or black people do anything to them. If one black person ever did anything bad to a white person, or if the Turks ever really enslaved a bunch of white people, we would know about it in history. How do I know? Because we talk nonstop about the Janissaries. The Serbs won't shut up about their slavery. The Balkans will not shut up about what the Turks did forever. If y'all really got sent to Sudan, boy, y'all would not shut the fuck up about it. But you're the first white person in history to ever say that Hungarians got sent to Sudan. So that's why you're lying. You're lying, or you're misinformed, and the information you're sending is bullshit. Magi Arabs have a Hungarian slave soldier ancestor. You're literally just talking bullshit. Nobody cares about that. Anyway, anyway, transgender kids and the fucking. All right. The argument is this: a lot of people think that kids should not be able to transition when before they are 18 because they could change their mind, right? Um, that's very possible. I once, when I was 17, or 16, I wanted to get a tattoo. I couldn't get a tattoo, and then I changed my mind later.
Stop giving this example.
We spoke about this before the live.
Yeah, but it's not the same with having a tattoo because you can reverse having a tattoo, and it's also like not the same as feeling different in your gender.
I understand that, but I'm making a larger point about
Okay.
kids changing their mind because that's the main thing. I'm just trying to understand the other side. I understand it's a bad example. I'm just trying to understand the other side.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. Listen, the thing is, nobody wants trans people to go through the rest of their life being harassed and shitted on, essentially. Because right now, if you're a man who looks visibly like a man, but you want to transition right now, like if I wanted to transition right now, I would go through life going through hell, not only as a black person, but as a trans person. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it would have been beneficial for me if I really wanted to transition at 13, where I could take the hormones so I could keep my hair, not grow my facial hair, have some big old titties, and boy, this ass would be straight. Boy, I'd be pulling niggas. I'd have tons of niggas on my ass. You get what I'm saying?
Wow.
The thing is, um, we live in a world where people who cannot pass go through the most hell. And if trans people cannot, get the medication or whatever they need to be able to pass successfully, they're going to go through life dealing with hell. So, what type of world do we as cisgender people want to live in? In a world where men with big beards are wearing dresses and with broad shoulders? Or do we want to go through a world where generally people can fit into the gender norms they want to be in and there won't be a lot of that drama. We won't have to hear about a bunch of suicides and homicides of trans people. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my argument. I think you agree with me, but I don't know. Do you disagree? What do you think?
No, no, I do agree with you. I think the like I'm just gonna refer back to Santiago about the transgender issue, but he said like they might want to turn into their original gender and things like that. First of all, I think that's probably like a very, very, very low percentage because I feel like most, most gay and transgender people know that they are gay because they feel it because this is something that comes within their own like self. It's not something that they choose to do because, like you said, nobody wants to go through this. uh so yeah, and once like it's also, I think the thing that they don't understand is also like a huge deal for a person who's like 16 years old, 15 years old, who's a kid, to want to go through like that sort of surgery or go on the hormone pills. It's also probably very, very scary for them as well. And obviously they're willing to take that risk because this is what they believe truly in their hearts. Now I understand that can be misleading because they're teenagers, right? They're children, and at that time we have this sort of mentality that we feel like we are creating a new personality, and we are trying to like you know stray like we are trying to have something different than from our parents. We're trying to like, a little bit like rebel against the norms that we grew up with. So I understand the concern, but I feel like in if you look at like generally, I feel like detransitioning is not that common. And yeah, just like what I said, like they could probably know that they are not born in the right gender
Yeah.
early on.
Yeah, let's get to a comment real quick because I want to add on to what you're saying, but also this. I think people should accept these types of people. If a girl speaks a bit deeper voice, should not discriminate them. And I think we can all agree with that. Acty, would you agree with that? We shouldn't discriminate?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that too. But the question is, how can we stop a person who wants to transition to being a woman from having a deep voice in the first place? And the best way to do that is if they are, you know, when they start younger. And, I'm going to keep it absolutely real with you. Would I be happy that my son or daughter wanted to transition? It'd be hard for me to say yes. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Not because I have a problem with trans people, but for the same reason that a lot of white people have for why they don't want their sons or daughters to marry black people. It's because white people inherently know that they are racist against black people, so they don't want their sons or daughters to go through anti-black racism plus their grandchildren.
Yeah.
I know that we live in a world, unfortunately, that I am against that is transphobic, homophobic, and that sort of stuff. So I would hate to see them go through that. It's not that I am happy that they are. It's not that I am unhappy that they are trans inherently.
Yeah.
You get
It
what I'm saying?
doesn't have to do anything with the gender. It's about the social struggle.
Right. But let's say I did have a son or a daughter who, um, wanted to transition, right? Knowing what they might face in the future, if they were around 12 or 13 or something like that, and they're starting puberty, and we take them to a psychologist, and the psychologist confirms that they, really do have gender dysmorphia or whatever the psychological construction is, whatever, it'd be hard for me to say, as a man who wants to make sure that these black children are safe in the world, for me to tell them, no, you cannot transition. You have to wait till you're 18. You have to wait until you are old enough to take pills. Oh, by the way, by the time you take these pills, they won't be as effective for you and that
Yeah.
sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It'd be hard for me to like look them in the eyes and say, I am here to protect you as your father, and then let them go out into the world and try to handle that by themselves. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's my opinion on it. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I just realized that there's also a little bit of like bias in our conversation because we are sort of condemning trans people who don't have feminine features. And that is something that I feel like has been, at least like speaking for myself, just because they don't uh, fit the classic thought of woman, it doesn't mean that they are not women. Because once again, we said women come in all sizes and shapes and colors and hairs and dresses. So why condemn the trans people who have those same type of qualities? Like, why is it not okay to be a masculine looking trans woman? Why is that not like one of the norms? I know the society like condemns them, and I know that they're gonna go through like some rough shit, but like that's what everyone goes through in like if they are a minority, if they are a marginalized group. Of course, you don't want that upon like your child or your loved ones, but how else are we supposed to like change our society if no one goes through that and they just comply to the beauty standards and those type of like patriarchal, again, and once again, white supremacist patriarchal like ideologies. You know what I mean? Because I don't know if this is gonna sound like racist. I'm sorry, but that's like saying like, oh, we will not be racist against, let's say, black people if they have white person's hair. If then it's all fine. I I don't know if that's like wrong to say it, but that was just like an example that I can think of.
Right. No, that's real. Like you're saying, yeah, it's the irony of this all, right?
Yeah.
Women got punished and killed for years for being women, and
Mhm.
now trans people are being punished and killed for not being women enough.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like the whole irony of it. And that example that you just gave is like so real. Like how, if there was a world where we only punished black people, we only are nice to black people with like 2C hair, and
Yeah.
everybody else is like
Look like they, then it's fine because
I
like
get what I get what you're saying about like why is it threatening to have trans people that are more masculine?
yeah, people
But
like this.
I think you're forgetting that people really like simple dichotomies. People in general really like things that are really simple especially when it comes to basic things. We have to understand hot, cold, day, night, good, evil. That's the dichotomy that allows us to navigate a world that can be very confusing and dangerous for us. So, you know, we can only deal in our brains. And I think you'll learn this as a psychologist. So much cognitive dissonance, so many things that are different that we enter into our minds. And so imagine you're going through life, you're like, why do I have to work a job for 8 hours a day and I can barely feed myself or keep the lights on and stuff like that? Or so many other things in life that don't make sense. And then on top of that, you walk down the street and you see a woman with a beard and a dude with tits. And it's like hard to
Yes.
reconcile. I know it's easy to say so what, but imagine if that was all around you as well. And then on top of that, you're living in a society that is like telling you like, okay, you have to accept these things that are very new and you don't have a lot. I mean, I think there's a lot that's going into the input, but I don't know. Do you want
I
to add on to that? Do you want to read some comments?
Let me read. Like we have two new comments. So Ozzy said, "Man, this is tough. I don't know what to think." You guys, and then Boo Boo Gang said, "You guys are making good points."
I think Boo Boo I think Boo Boo Gang also said Boo Boo Gang is a hilarious name, by the way.
Yeah.
Boo Boo Gang said, from what I heard, more transgenders have higher rates of suicide after transition.
Mm.
And I don't know a lot about this because I'm going to say this again for anybody who just jumped into the live. I'm not an expert on trans issues. And honestly, I really don't care about trans issues. I really don't. I'm sorry. But I think the reason a lot of trans people kill themselves after they transition is because it's a radical switch in their lives. And also, a lot of people are transitioning without those puberty blockers and the things that would help them more easily transition to being the gender that they want to conform to. You get what I'm saying? And there still is a ton of stigma around trans people, and so if you have the whole world picking on 4 or 5 people, like a small minority of them, of course you might feel bad about yourself. Listen, guys, listen, I'm gonna keep it real with you.
Can
My
I something to the like the suicide rate thing?
yeah. Because then I'm gonna say this. Go ahead.
Uh, I just like I don't know if the statistics are real, but even if that was the case, I just want to make it clear that mental like problems doesn't just stop when you transition. And basically, what I feel like those people are going through is that they have been having mental issues for a period when they didn't transition, and I think they feel like after they transition everything's going to be so nice and smooth because now we are women, but the society obviously still do not accept them as a woman. So I feel like there's a you know a disappointment with the transition, and that could just add on to their mental like state,
I want to
and get worse with that because the society doesn't have the response that they expected, that they hoped for.
I want to disagree with you on that a bit. I don't think any person in 2023, at least moving forward, ever thinks that they're going to transition and things will be better for them unless they have a safety net and a nice community around them or a family that supports them. I think most people, knowing that they're going to transition, uh, know that they're going to head into more hardship and criticism. Regardless of their income. There's a famous basketball player called Dwayne Wade, and he's married to a famous actress called Gabrielle Union. Have you heard of them?
Mm,
And they have a son called, well, they had a son called Zaya or whatever, and now the Zion or whatever. I don't know. They had a son that now is transitioning to a girl. These are very wealthy people, very well to do people. They have all the means in the world, and they faced tons of criticism online, tons of backlash from people that don't know them at all. And still to this day, people are just hounding this little girl who wants to transition. You get what I'm saying?
yeah.
Even even though she has everything in the world, to protect her, good parents, plenty of money, great education and everything, I wouldn't be surprised if Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade's daughter, transition son, whatever you want to call them, didn't think about suicidal thoughts or didn't think about ending it all because of the criticism he got on social media. Because that shit is real. I don't know. What do you
Okay.
think?
I could add to that, but I don't want to make it too long. I'll just say this from where I was coming from is that like people don't transition like from just a normal looking dude to a woman in one day. Usually people who transition are already like dressing more feminine, like I'm talking about trans women. They are like already like behaving and looking more feminine. They just don't have the biological like actual things as a woman. So it's not like they go from like being a butch guy to a feminine Barbie in one day. It's a process. I just felt like okay, now I'm gonna have tits, and now I'm not gonna get like the 5 o'clock shadow, and now I'm pussy and things like that. So now it's gonna be a difference. I feel like that's how I would feel if I was gonna be transitioning. And that's is just not the case. And I feel like that's why I said maybe their mental health doesn't get better with transitioning, because it's also like depression and those sort of things, they don't just go away. So
Right.
anyway.
No, no, that wasn't long winded. That was a very, very concise and very real answer. You're saying like mental illness doesn't go away when you transition. And on top of that, it's a harder process to transition, which can add on and exacerbate your mental illness. That's real. And I agree with you 1,000%. Let's get to some comments. Can you read some stuff for us?
Yeah, I don't think I'm able to see all of them. So if I don't read any, then you can read them. Anyway, Ozzy said, "How do you feel about trans women being able to use female bathrooms?"
That's funny because we were talking about that today.
Yeah,
And my opinion about females using male bathrooms or vice versa, I don't think it's that big of a deal, honestly. I really think this is an American culture war thing that we've exported to the rest of the world, if anything, because the Christians in America are really following Jesus's teachings to the letter. When Jesus came down, when he was born of the Virgin Mary and he became the prophet, he said, "Where are all the women hanging out in the guys' bathrooms? Where are all the trans people? Where are all the gay people?" That's what Jesus came to talk to us about. For any Christians out here, for all of the Christians in this live chat, the two people that are here chilling with us, if you're a Christian, tell me what Jesus told me about gay people. I would like to know what Jesus told me about gay people, about trans people, about nationalism. Tell me what Jesus told me about nationalism. Tell me what Jesus told me about all the stuff the Christians go so hard for. Jesus didn't care about any of this stuff. I'm sorry I'm ranting. I'm too
no,
lit right now. But listen, guys, you're not going to die if you see a woman in the bathroom, and possibly uh, a woman's not going to die if she sees you in there. We
yeah.
need to get off of this weird gender war bullshit. I don't know. That's my
It,
opinion. What do you think?
it bathroom is such a weird place to have this war, because I don't know what makes bathroom such a like special place. For me, I just go in there and I pee and I get out. So I don't really understand what's the big commotion about it. I don't think like I didn't see women just like getting naked in the bathroom. That's not what we do in there. Maybe you scratch your butt or, reposition your titty from your like in your bra or something like that.
Hold
But
on, wait. Can you tell people the story though in Saudi Arabia when we were in a layover and you
that
went?
wasn't even in a bathroom though.
Tell the people the
But
story though in the women's section. So when you go to Saudi Arabia, guys, everything is segregated, even the smoking room. And what happened when you went to the smoking room in the Saudi Arabian airport? Tell me.
yeah, so I went into the smoking section, and so there was this lady who came to after me, and obviously she was wearing the whole like hijab, the black, like the cover. And I was just like standing there, and she came, and then she started to like unpack all of her stuff, and she undressed, like not undressed, but took off her like thing, and inside she was like wearing a very deep V-neck, and she had like her bra showing out, and we were wearing the same bra, and I was like feeling her, and she got very nice titties, and yeah. But that wasn't even the bathroom, and that's the most you will see in a bathroom as well. Like you'll maybe see a bra or something. Like nobody's having like full on lesbian orgies in the bathroom. So I don't know why women are so scared. And honestly, statistically thinking, what is the bigger percentage? Men who sexually harass women or trans women who sexually harass women?
Oh, definitely men sexually harass women,
Yeah.
and
So
yeah,
I don't know why people are getting like so, icky about it.
yeah, definitely. Definitely. Man, Sea Doggo is going off in the chat. I want to get to all of his comments, but I was just very interested in hearing that story again because I love when you tell that story.
I know you're just imagining some,
Anyway, so
fantasizing about something like that.
Anyway, Sea Doggo left a litany, so let's read through it. He said, "Can I add a bonus topic? Hormone therapy makes very serious health problems. Same in mental and physical. Trans people said they should take pills all their lives. Also, my opinion, not the people start these conflicts. In the early 2000s, there were tons of movies about trans people. Also, in the 20th century, there was men who liked to dress as women. They were exist or they existed. Now it's very popular to talk about. It's okay to fix this problem for these peoples, but it's pushed a bit everywhere that makes many people mad about this question. And the movement gets haters. But how would movement like this survive if we accept? I'm not sure what that part means. I mean, the people who get money for raising the voice of trans people, if they can raise their voice without help, why should they need support? These people lose their jobs. I'm not sure about the last part, but I think the first two parts are very interesting. I mean, do you understand what he's saying?
Yeah, like I guess, like I'm not sure. Like I said again, I don't have any knowledge about hormone therapy, and I would not take anyone's word without like my own research. So I don't know about that. I mean, if like I said once more, trans people when they do decide to transition, they take a lot of responsibility, and it's probably hella scary for them as well. So yeah, like if they really do have to take pills all their lives, it is a commitment. I mean, I have to take pills all my life, for example, because I have thyroid, and it's not that much big of a deal. You just take the pill. But I'm not comparing it to like transitioning. Obviously, I'm just like looking from that point of view.
Right.
Uh, and about like the early trans people, yes, obviously they existed, and the fact that they want more things, and the fact that there's like, this topic is being pushed around, is that they never had the appropriate rights for them, and now finally we're at the point where we can talk about giving those people their rights that they deserve, and that's why we're
Mm,
being talked about it so much.
mm. Right. I think there's a lot of people, like Sea Doggo, who feel like the trans issues, trans community is being pushed down their throats. Like, because let's keep it real. Every time you turn on Netflix, every time you turn on a modern movie, there's gay characters, trans characters, and different minorities all over the screen, right? And a lot of people feel like it's being pushed down their throats. But people have to remember, like, Hollywood is like McDonald's. The reason McDonald's is successful is because they know what people like, and they are feeding people exactly what they like. And Hollywood knows the more diversity or the more people you have from different backgrounds in your movies or TV shows, the more people are going to watch it, period. You know what I mean? I'll
Yeah.
keep it real. I'm turned off by a show that's all white. I didn't watch Friends until I was 26. I'm from America. I didn't watch Friends until I was 26 because I can't get into Ross, Chandler, Rachel, Monica, and Phoebe when they ain't got no when Tyrone ain't there. Keep it real. I don't give a friend.
Wait, you cut off.
I'm sorry. I was saying
You
I don't
s-
give a
you
fuck about.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, who's your favorite friend?
Who's my favorite friend? Joey, because he's dumb.
Oh, gross. No. Oh, wow. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, a
But
lot of people feel like the trans community is being pushed down their throats, but I think that's just Hollywood marketing.
yeah,
And
also
go ahead.
Hollywood loves to create stereotypes, and usually those gay and trans characters are like very out there, insanely like radical like people. But as I saw in, like, for example, Artemis's story, she's just like a shy kid who's just, trying to like survive. So it's not that case. So Hollywood
Right.
loves to create those type of stereotypes.
Right.
And yeah,
I
like
want to I want to ask everybody the question here because we have four people in the chat right now, and this is still a small channel. We're not tripping off of the people in the live stream because we do this for fun and it's a passion and whatever. But I want to ask EU, C Doggo, Ozzy, whoever else is watching right now, leave a comment. If your child was 13 years old, boy or girl, and they said, "Daddy or Mommy, I want to transition. I want to be the opposite gender. I really feel this in my heart." How would you react? Would you try to help your child get through that to help them make that dream possible? Or would you try to, you know, say, "Hey, you're a boy or you're a girl until you're 18. If you're out of my house, you can do whatever you want to do." Uh, what would you answer to that, honestly? Because that's what it comes down to. Because we feel like, at least for me, you know, as cisgendered people, people that were born boy. I was born a boy, and I grew up as a boy, and I identify as a boy. Acti, you were born a girl, and you
yeah,
identify as a girl, correct?
yeah.
Right? We want to live in a world where trans people, people that are trans, are able to exist in society and blend into society and not be casted out. The question is, though, to make that happen, the people who will make that happen are actually the parents of those trans people, because to make that happen successfully, it will require people who are young starting early, starting during puberty, usually when they're under their parents' care. Should parents allow that to happen? That's the big question. In my opinion, honestly, and I'll keep it real with you, yes. And Acti is playing a real on the fence game. She's like, "I don't know about puberty blockers. I don't know what they do." But Acti, let's just put it out there like this. If there was a pill right now that a child could take that would permanently stop them from going through puberty with the gender or sex that they were born with and help them transition to the other one, should children be allowed to take it? If a psychologist says this, oh, well, you know what? No, no qualitative, no qualifications. Should a child be able to take it?
Without the parents' consent. Is that the question you're
With
asking?
it's, I'm not asking about parents' consent. I'm not asking about psychologists. Should a child be allowed to take a pill that would permanently alter their puberty as it aligns to their born sex, if that would help them transition fully?
Mm, that's a hard question.
For me,
But
it's the easy one. For me, it's easy, and the answer is
yes,
yes.
yeah.
Okay. You don't have to agree with me, but what do you honestly think? What do you think?
Like I yeah, no. I want to say yes because like I said, I feel like it's tricky for me because like I said, children are able to like identify or feel who they want to be for at least what gender they identify with, they know, like around those ages and maybe even earlier, like, scientifically talking, you can know as early as like 4 years old that either you are gay or homosexual or transgender. You can know as early as that. So once that person knows that, I feel like whether it's the parents or anyone else, who's to say that no, you cannot do this just because they are children? But at the same time, I'm conflicted because I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want anyone to get harmed, especially my own like child, So that would be my only concern, not the case that she transitions or not, or she stops her hormones or not, but I would just want to make sure that it's absolutely safe for that person.
I
And
mean,
with the
and
example that you gave, I would say yes. That's why I would say yes, if that's like the healthy way to
I
do.
understand. I understand you're concerned about, the health concerns or the health effects, but in the hypothetical, it was only this pill will stop their puberty and help them transition to the other thing. It's like a
Yeah.
magic pill. I gave you the magic pill hypothetical. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
So I understand about all of that, but anyway, let's get to some comments. Would you mind reading some? Because everybody replied to the hypothetical. EU
Can
said,
I one?
oh yeah, come and get it. I'll read the comments. Fine, come on in. So EU said, come on. All right, we're taking a little break, guys. By the way, she's not captured. She's not in another room. She's right here with me. Say hi on this camera,
Hello.
dear. All right,
Here.
go ahead. All right, all right. Anyway, EU said the second one, at least be 18 when you transition. Up until then, I will do all I can to help them. I will do all I can to help them see why such thoughts does more harm than good for them. It's a no from me. So Sea Doggo said, first, I know my child. If he was mainly woman traits, I want to first understand his opinion more. I want to be sure in his choice. Ozzy said, I would be sad, but I would accept their decision. I want my kid to be happy and live in a body they feel represents them. And EU said, so do you both not see all this stuff as a form of indoctrination? Uh, and C Doggo said, why are my chats disappearing? I would not let him do immediately, but after I'm sure his choice, I would accept it and let him. So a lot of interesting replies here. There's a lot of interesting replies here.
Hmm.
Very interesting. What do you think about these replies, Acting?
Mm, I mean, I agree with like the most of it. Not EU. Sorry, like yeah, I would talk to my child about what he wants or she wants, but that's the thing. Like when we say like we would question weight and all of those things, it is a bit discouraging because it feels like we would be invalidating their feelings, because again, I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but it is also a lot it is a lot harder on the person to decide to go through something like this, and imagining it like as a kid, you want to go through something like this knowing that you're going to be discriminated. You know, of course it's okay to like question it and ask questions and talk about it. Maybe not question it, but talk about it. But yeah, I feel like um the most important thing is like, for them to feel comfortable in their own identity. So I agree with like Ozzy and C Doggo on this. What do you think?
Yeah, the only person I can really agree with is Ozzy. Uh, I mean, it's hard for me, to say wait until you're 18 because let's keep it real. Like 18 is an arbitrary number to say that somebody is an adult. At
Hmm.
that age, they're still a kid. My opinion is like being 18, in my opinion, is no different than being 14, honestly. Now, I'm not talking about like, as in like consensual sex or anything like that, but our 18 is an arbitrary number to what we said it was a child. 100 years ago, it was 16. A few years before that, it was 14. Children used to work in factories, like what we consider children now. So, at eight, how old is your brother Egihan? How old is he?
He was born in 2010, so 13.
He's 13 now. In 5 years, would you think Egihan is old enough to be sent with a gun to go fight in Syria?
No.
In Turkey, is that the legal age to join the army?
Is it
18? I don't
18?
know.
Uh, I guess like if, but it's mandatory in Turkey. But I
I
guess
kn-
if you want to go voluntarily, yeah, I think so.
yeah. So if Egehan at 18 years old said, I want to pick up a gun and go fight in Syria, do you think he's really old enough to be out there busting his gun in Idlib?
No.
Right. So we live in a world right now where we let children do really adult things. My country sent 18-year-olds to go die in a country called Afghanistan, half of the world away. And we want to sit here and be like, oh, 18 is old enough to then decide you're going to be a man or a boy. You get what I'm saying? Now, that might sound like the inverse, like I'm trying to fight against my own point. But what I'm saying is, here we decide who is an adult on an arbitrary basis. And we should be understanding enough of children, of what we consider to be children, that they can make real decisions about their life at a at any age generally. Now, I am not. I know some people might clip this later once this channel gets big and say Simon is speaking up for, young people having consensual sex or whatever with adults. I know people are sick like that on the internet. I am not saying that at all. I'm not talking about that at all. What I am talking about is making choices about identity, not about relations with people that are older.
Yeah.
I knew that I would never be a Christian by the time I was 12. And that's a decision I've stuck with the rest of my life. Because when I was 12 years old, I decided that Christianity doesn't make sense. Acti, when did you decide that you weren't going to be Muslim?
In like fifth grade.
Much younger than me. And is that a decision you've generally stuck with?
Yeah.
Children can make real serious choices about their identity at very young ages, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You can decide, or a child can understand that they are gay, that they are trans very early on. So saying that, you're only allowed to act upon those feelings at an arbitrary age that society has decided, to me is bullshit, honestly. You
It
get
is.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, we underestimate like children's feelings most of the time, and we say, oh, like you're just a child. But like you said, like also with like the point of age, uh in I mean, at least in like child development and psychology, from age 12 to 18 you're put in the same category in psychology.
Right.
Like you basically, uh go through the same things during those two ages.
Mhm.
But yeah, like I agree with you. It's just because they are younger doesn't mean their feelings are not valid, because in the core of it, these feelings are not about experience.
It's about how you identify, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And some people might say, oh, children are unable to make decisions about how they identify because children change their opinions very quickly. Like when I was a kid, the first thing I wanted to be was a famous boxer. The first job I really wanted to be was a boxer. What was the first job you wanted to have?
belly dancer.
A belly dancer, right? Do you still want to be a belly dancer?
No.
I don't want to be a boxer. So a lot of people think, oh, because people change their minds about what they want to be when they grow up, kids can't make decisions about what they want to be when they're older. But I would say that there are some things that you really do define for yourself early when you're a kid, you know? And there are certain identities that we inherit when we are kids that we have to live with based on either who we are inside or how the world treats us on the outside. No matter how well I spoke English, no matter how smart I am, no matter what I do in my professional life, I will always be treated as a black person. And I learned that very early in my black ass life as a kid. No
Mm,
matter how many things I saw outside in the world, I knew that I was always going to be attracted to women and like big booty broads. There's nothing that could change that opinion. I knew that I liked women the first time my thing got hard and I turned on the internet and saw some pop ups. There's nothing that can change that identity for me. And so we all live with identities that are either foisted upon us or that are inside us. And so kids find that out very early. So we should be trying to as parents, not try to hold them back from that, honestly.
Yeah.
And I want to get to the point about EU talking about indoctrination. That's how a lot of people think about this trans issue stuff. They feel like it's being pushed down kids' throats and kids are being exposed to trans identity and that sort of thing. What do you think about that? I have an opinion. What do you think?
Mm, I don't agree that that is the case because there are still gay people and trans people. In just giving an example from Turkey, for example, there are still, those people who have different sexual orientations or sexual identities who don't have any contact with that sort of media, or who live in societies where it's like insanely forbidden to talk about transgender is not a thing in the east of Turkey, for example. Like if you're transgender, your uncle is going to shoot you. It's something like that. And there are still people who are transgender and gay and lesbians in those communities. So like, then how come, it is indoctrinated? Those people have to flee their own families. Those people have to like leave their own families, own culture, own cities, just to be able to like, live their own selves, live their own authentic selves. So I don't agree with the indoctrination. That's, I can understand why people might think that is the case, because it gives opportunity to those people who are actually trans and gay and lesbians. So they're given a voice, so they take that chance to express themselves. And I feel like that's why people think, oh, it's increasing, we have more trans people now. We've always had the same amount of trans people probably, but now people are able to express themselves, so it's just coming out more. That's my opinion.
Yeah, it's possibly also, I think you'll learn this in psychology, or I don't know if this is even in psychology or just a thing, but whenever there's something that's very abnormal, people think it's much larger than what it is, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think that's what's happening. But the comment section is going crazy. This is the
Yeah.
craziest comment section we've had in a long time. You want to read through them, or should
Yeah.
I?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's see. I'm trying to find the last one that we read. Okay. Where is it?
I got
Okay.
it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so what happened to being a child? EU said. Ozzy said, what is the consensus on how much of this is nature versus nurture? Um, he said to EU, and then Ozzy said, is sexuality or being trans embedded in our DNA, or is it influenced by our environment? I don't think sexuality is something you can learn from your environment. You can learn how to be feminine and masculine and certain traits, but who you are attracted to, that's not something that you can learn.
No, I disagree. Totally disagree.
Why?
Because well, okay. Well, number one, a lot of people are attracted to uh, features that are more Eurocentric because we live in a world where Eurocentric features are seen as the ideal beauty standard. That's something that's learned. People view, you know, higher cheekbones and shorter jaw lines and, certain body structures and certain eye colors and hair types as more beautiful than just natural brown eyes or dark skin and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but
So
once again, that's based off of traits. A it's not like a preference that comes from within. It's still like traits.
So are you saying it's natural? Are you saying it's more natural for the world to have a negative view of the black body? Because around the world, black people are viewed as the ugliest forms of people. So are you
Yeah,
saying that's natural, or are you saying that's learned?
I'm not saying it's natural. That does come from environmental influences, but I'm saying the reason that it comes from environmental influences is that those are physical traits.
What does
But
that have to do? We're talking about attraction, so of course we're dealing with physical traits.
yeah, but attraction as in the gender that you love, not the traits of the gender or the people, but the gender that you are attracted to. It's not something that's really determined by traits.
Okay, I think we're talking about two different things. If we're
Okay.
talking about if we're talking about heterosexual attraction,
You are
and I believe
heterosexual like attraction.
you was talk if we're talking about heterosexual attraction, a lot of it is also somewhat innate, but a lot of it is learned. What we view as beautiful cannot also be viewed in the lens of what we consider to be powerful or closer to power.
Okay.
So, a lot of people view things in the lens of what can also gain me power in this world, or what is closer to power and standards of beauty. You get what I'm saying? And I believe the same thing also applies to homosexual attraction as well, though I will not speak on that as much.
Okay. I'm
Because
like nature versus nurture discussion happens with a lot of topics, and usually the answer is it's both. But yeah, there could be maybe dominant, I don't know, one in some conversations. But it's always a discussion, so it's okay.
all right, let's go to any
Okay.
more comments. All right.
Um EU said I think the majority is nurture. Ozzy said because 13, I think it's pretty much set in stone and won't change. C Doggo said, why did you convert to Muslim? What Islam offers? What made you choose it? Do you want to answer that?
Very briefly, Islam is the religion that makes the most sense theologically when we compare it to the different religions. And also, Islam is explicitly in its theology anti-racist, and that's very important for me.
Okay.
Next,
Oh, you want to say more?
no, that's it.
Okay. EU said because I think even if this stuff has existed in the past, social media has had a big influence on younger people being exposed to it. Ozzy,
I feel like we already spoke about that, but I feel like on social media, there's a big exposure of children to sexuality. You would not be surprised how many BBL pages AKDI looks at every day. Every day, she's always sending me links to some girl twerking, and I'm like, "This is on Instagram. This is where kids are on."
it's
Like, I am so shocked.
it's like visually hypnotizing. I can't.
Yeah, every day, guys. If you saw our text exchange, you would be surprised how many big booty, Niashi, African girls are just twerking on the wall. It's
Shit.
insane. There's too much sexuality. It's not homosexuality, it's not trans identity, it's too much sexuality in general if we're going to talk about exposure to children on social media. That's
Yeah,
my opinion. What do you think about that?
I agree. Yeah, I don't think there's too much like exposure. Like, my like you said, my brother is 13 years old, and he has asked me about a bunch of different things about, like, questions about sexual orientation, race, but he has never asked me about like trans people. I don't think he saw like trans people, and even if he did, it's not as much as, titties or big booties.
Mm, mm.
Mm, anyway, I'll continue. Ozzy said, I agree, which is why I'm going to make sure I raise my sons to be as masculine as possible. Ooh. And Ozzy said, and schools are now introducing kids to it, which I don't agree with. Oh my God. It's going to a different direction. He said, I also think we don't always have to act on urges we may have. Um, and then C Doggo said, also Simon, search after Janissary and Magia. I didn't lie. Sorry for off topic.
God, this guy keeps on. See, this is the problem with white people. A lot of white people really want to be slaves because every time, like they see black people as slaves, they just want to pretend that they're slaves too. Because for some reason, white people have like a cuck fetish. They
They love
just.
victim.
White people always say black people always talk about being the victim, and every time we talk about real life situations that happen, they say, a long time ago we were slaves too to the Ottomans. The Ottomans are the big dick daddies to all Europeans. It's very funny. It's very funny. And it's so mind numbing because none of this shit is actually true. The Janissaries were actually people kidnapped from the Balkans who were forced to convert to Islam and work in the Ottoman Empire as slave soldiers, mercenaries to some extent. That does not mean y'all niggas were sent to Sudan and y'all were whipped and chained and y'all had your dicks cut off and shit like that. That didn't happen. And actually, you know about the Janissaries, right?
Yeah, nobody sent to Sudan. I've never heard of that. I mean, I'm sorry.
The Ottoman Empire did have some holdings in Sudan, yes, but it wasn't the entirety of Sudan. And they sent the Janissaries down there as soldiers, not as like slaves to be worked in fields or abused. And number one, there were slaves in the Ottoman Empire of all types. And I read a whole book about it, and I published a whole video about uh, my research about slavery in the Ottoman Empire. And Acti knows about this too. And I'm sorry, Acti, I'm pissing you off.
No, it's okay.
But the white slaves of the Ottoman Empire were treated very, very differently than the black slaves in the Ottoman Empire. Because just basically, first and foremost, and for people that don't know this, the Janissaries were people taken from the Balkans, and they were all whites. They had millions of Georgian girls and Armenian girls and Russian girls who were slaves in the Ottoman Empire as well. But there were even more millions of black people that were taken to the Ottoman Empire today. And what is the reason you still have blonde hair, blue eyed Turks running around? What is the reason you have Turks that look like Svetlana from Belarus running around? Well, possibly those millions of Europeans that were brought in there did not have their genitalia cut off like the millions of black people that were brought in there.
Yeah.
There was an inherent difference in how the black people were brought into the Ottoman Empire and the white Europeans that were captured as slaves, even if they were in the Ottoman Empire. There were no Hungarians sent to Sudan. See, doggo, you are lying. You are lying. Just leave it alone. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. And it's very likely that your country or your historian just told you some bullshit to explain away the racism that's in the statue of Eugene Salvoy at the Buddha Castle. Stop it. It's okay to be wrong, okay? It's okay to be wrong.
I think he got the message.
I'm tripping though. I'm tripping.
And
Anyway,
Ozzy said, when I was a kid, we never talked about trans related stuff or sexuality in school. Um, C Doggo said, Ozzy, where are you from? EU said, if we are saying that it's normal and they have these feelings, then why don't we just follow urges and feelings with everything? We don't, because some things are harmful.
do you want
Ozzy,
to jump on that or no?
mm, I don't know how to, you know, put this in a sentence. Um, yes, of course, there are some urges and feelings that lead us wrong, like do drugs. That urge says do cocaine, do it, and then it's wrong. But this is the king joined the conversation.
Everybody clap for Avery Adams. Everybody clap for Avery Adams. Thank you, Avery. But go ahead. What were you saying, acting?
Yeah, like it's not the same as having urges and feelings, because your whole identity is not urges and feelings. It's you, it's your whole. So I don't know how to explain this. If you want to like make a comment about it, you can say it.
I just feel like EU might be coming from like a good place, and I have a lot of respect for EU, whoever he is, wherever he's from. I just feel like he's coming from this very traditionalist view where you know a man having sex with a woman is the only sort of natural sort of relationship when love is love, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And it's, y'all might feel like I'm biased, but I have a brother, my blood brother, same mother, same father. He is openly gay. And I love my brother to the death. Y'all think I'm radical. Y'all think I'm crazy talking about white supremacy. If this was his channel, it would be a different level. You know what I mean? And I love my brother to the death. And there is there is no difference in how my brother loves and how I love. There's no difference in, those sorts of relationships. What you feel in your heart for somebody is real. And if you had a kid, if you had a son or a daughter that loved the opposite gender or wanted to identify with the opposite gender, you should love them the same and you should view their relationship as the same, because love is hard. Being married is not easy. Being in a relationship is not easy. Loving and living with somebody, regardless of their gender, is not easy. So I
Yeah,
think we should just not try to act like kids can easily be misled to believe that something is natural. Kids can't easily just be misled and thought to think that something is crazy. You get what I'm saying? What do you
yeah,
think about that?
yeah. I agree. Like when it comes to certain things, if you know, you just know it, and you know how that's gonna look for you. Like when you're a kid and you think about, because like when you're a teenager you fantasize about having a girlfriend, having a boyfriend, being married, and maybe like being in a relationship and things like that. And if your fantasies include, other another gender, or it includes you being another gender, that's still coming from a very pure place, just like how it would come like from a point of a cisgender person, so it's just kids thinking, very purely, and kids being kids. And yeah, I agree on you with that.
Yeah. I saw EU replied right when I was talking. He said, that's his problem on this topic, coming from a traditional, what does it say, religious view, which I agree at times makes me be less open minded. There's nothing wrong with being religious. You guys see me on my channel going to mosque, praying sometimes. There's nothing wrong with having a faith and that sort of thing. Like, it's okay to have a worldview. I just really hate when people sort of like pick and target and pick on gay people or pick on trans people. Like, on my channel, I get the most hate in the world. And that's because I target people that are a part of a system that is inherently racist and xenophobic and is hating on a bunch of people. I face a lot of hate just for speaking my black ass truth. And that's why I'm fearless about this, because I know I'm fighting somebody stronger than me. I would not be as cool. I would not be as fly. I would not be as fresh as I am if I was picking on trans people all day, picking on women all day, picking on gay people all day. I shoot the sheriff. I don't shoot the deputy. And so, like, ACDI sees my comments. ACDI sees how people talk to me when all I do is share my experience and all I do is try to speak up against white supremacy and that sort of thing. And I hate to make this about me, but we live in a world, unfortunately, where people see gay people, trans people, and just see easy targets.
Yeah.
Easy targets. You get what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
why was Jesus killed? For all the people in here, I bet most of y'all are Christian or you grew up in Christian houses. Think about this. Why was Jesus killed? Was Jesus killed because he went to Galilee, Jerusalem, Bethlehem, and he said, "Hey, where are all the faggots in Bethlehem? Where are all the trans people? Where are all the trannies in Jerusalem? Where are all the fags out here in Galilee?" Jesus was killed because he shot the sheriff, not the deputy. Jesus was telling the Pharisees that you guys are teaching the wrong message to the people. Jesus was killed because all the people that were against him were embedded in a system where people were paying money to pray to God. You people have to realize that picking on the lowest common denominator does not make you closer to righteousness. And a lot of people feel like if we pick on trans people, if we pick on gay people, if we call them abnormal, if we call them weird, we can feel better about ourselves and we can be closer to some sort of divinity or righteousness. But that's not righteousness. That's not righteousness at all, in my opinion. You get
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And even from my tradition as a Muslim, yes, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, did speak out and say that homosexuality was wrong. And in the Quran, explicitly, it says that homosexuality is wrong and that sort of thing. But Muhammad peace be upon him, and the Muslims, our identity should not be tied into picking on the lower common denominator. We should be focused on bringing unity and peace to mankind. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not just harassing the little trans kids, in my opinion. I'm sorry I went on a rant, but
No.
it just bothers me so much when people say, I come from a religious background, but you forget the main thing that the prophets taught us. The prophets taught us that we should fight the powerful and speak up for God. You get what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay. No, I agree with you. I agree with you that like people could have their own beliefs and whatnot, but it's very important not to like just pick on and target other people who are you know more helpless than us.
Um,
Um, anyway, EU said that accounts for a small number. This is when we were talking about the social media effect. And he said, I'm not arguing that it would not exist without social media. I think it is being normalized. We are now discussing people under 18 transitioning. How many, and then he said, how many of us went to school with trans people? Did you like go to school with any trans people?
um, I didn't,
Or-
but when I was teaching in the summer camp in Germany, I did meet a young girl who was transitioning, and she was cool. She was cool.
Okay. I don't think, let me think. I can't remember anyone that I met who was trans.
Yeah.
Yeah. I-
Uh, I want to go to some comments. I'll read up here.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So, C Doggo said there is a mental issue called BDD, body dysmorphia. Some people feel, etc. His own arm is not his. These people want to amputate their body part. Does we should accept them if they feel better or not? Uh, yeah. There's this body dysmorphia argument that
Yeah.
people say, oh, trans people have a mental disorder. And we spoke about this before. How do you feel about people calling transphobia a mental disorder or transness a mental disorder?
Um, yeah, I don't think that is the case. Maybe there is like, I don't know. I don't even know. So I'm just gonna say what I know. I don't think it is a mental disorder. That was what it was perceived as like way before. Actually, not that long ago. But body dysmorphia is like something totally different, and what uh is being dealt with body dysmorphia is basically like trying to make people accepted accepted of their own body, like we're trying to make them accept their own beauties and bodies, and no matter how they look. So it's not issue of them um not feeling like their arm doesn't belong to them, because there's probably some sort of trauma attached to that and things like that. And when you unravel that trauma, then you help that person to accept themselves as a whole. So I think it's very very different from like transgender people and gay people and LGBTQ plus community. It's very very different. I don't think it's relatable.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a false equivalency, like you said. You know, uh, Cutting off your arm is something totally different than just you wanting to identify with another gender. But let's read the comments from Avery Adams because Avery is, of course, our our friend. And so Avery says, I don't think anybody should be transitioned before 18 or able to transition. So, Avery, we've had this discussion before you got in, but I just want to jump into this. My opinion about this is that, it's harder to fully transition into the gender you want to be in after, you become a full adult. And parents have a lot of responsibility on making sure their children have the best success in their life. And unfortunately, people that are not able to pass as their gender, particularly trans women, right? Not so much for trans men, but trans women face a lot of scrutiny on presenting as women. So if you're a trans woman and you transition later in life, it's harder for you to, wear a dress. You might have a deeper voice. You might not be able to grow out your hair all the way and that sort of stuff. So should parents face have some responsibility on making sure their children, you know, be able to pass in their life, because trans people face the additional risk of homicides, suicides, harassment, bullying, death threats, all sorts of stuff when trans women, specifically, like men who transition to being into women in life. You know what I mean? And in my opinion, I feel like parents should help their children just for their safety alone, just
Yeah.
for their safety, just off that rip, because,
Yeah, no, we parents always say, "Oh, like, I just want my child to be happy and healthy and, all of that stuff." And that includes this as well. If if you feel like you belong to another gender and you cannot transition, that's gonna affect your whole life. This is gonna affect 100% of every aspect of your life, because you're not gonna feel comfortable even when you're alone in the room with yourself. You're not going to be feeling comfortable. And as a woman, I can understand that a lot, because there are a lot of times where I looked in the mirror and I felt really really bad about myself because of like the beauty standards and whatnot. So I can sympathize, at least to a some level, how those kids feel when they look in the mirror and they don't like what they see because they don't identify with that. And that's just going to take a huge toll on your mentality, and that's so much more important than being 18 and being able to make your own decisions.
yeah, yeah. There's a very interesting comment here. EU says, so do you both see transsexual and being gay as a way of life that could be beneficial to humans or society? I find that comment so interesting, because that's like asking, is being black beneficial to human society? Is being white, is being Turkish, is being Armenian, is that beneficial? No, it's just a part of life. That's what I feel like. I feel like it's a part of life. Like
Yeah.
there's gonna be gay people, there's gonna be trans people. That's just a part of life, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, all people kind of benefits in one way to the whole humanity. Like, it's like a humanity doesn't only benefit from celebrities and inventors and all sorts of things. It's like a collective effort that we all put in this world. And like, yeah, like I feel like everyone has a little bit of that sand piece in the whole like collective of humanity. And it's not, also like you said, they just exist, and that's like what it should be. It shouldn't be like a, maybe it shouldn't be like a benefit. And okay, so you're trans, so what do I get out of it? You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't expect something back, like, because that's who they were born to be, I guess.
Mm, yeah. There's also an interesting comment from C Doggo. C Doggo said, "But what does a Hungarian community doing in Sudan today?"
I don't
I think he's saying,
know.
why is there? I think he's trying to say, C Doggo is trying to say, why is there a Hungarian community in Sudan today? Maybe because there's a Hungarian embassy in Khartoum. There's a there's a Hungarian embassy in Khartoum. That's why there's a Hungarian community. Like all the families of the modern. There's no there. I would like to know where C Doggo thinks Sudan is on a map. I bet he thinks Sudan is like southern Turkey.
Wow. Well, I just want to say that there are all sorts of communities in every country, almost. Like, there's a Turkish neighborhood in almost probably all countries and stuff like that. So it's okay. They're Hungarians in Sudan. That doesn't mean they were took there as slaves. Like, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Another comment from EU. EU left an interesting comment. And he said, we have literally seen the increase on a global scale of people finding the Kim Kardashian look attractive. And I love when people make this argument when I bring up the white beauty standards of the world. And I say that whiteness is viewed as the standard of beauty around the world. And I've seen it with my own eyes. One of the most transformative moments in my life was when I went to Indonesia and I was praying in this masjid all the time, right? As a black man. I go there to the masjid one time with this white guy, and the whole community of the Indonesians come and flood this white man who I came with. They say, white man, give me money, white man, you're so beautiful, girls throwing pussy at him. Everything. I've never seen white worship like when I went to Africa and black men were telling my wife, I want a white woman like you. I want to go to Europe. White is beautiful and stuff like that. Whiteness is considered the standard of beauty across the world. And then when people bring up the Kim Kardashian look, I'm like, how does that defeat my argument? You just brought up a white woman. What the fuck are y'all talking about? The Kim Kardashian look? What is the Kim Kardashian look?
Yeah,
A
it's
white woman? A white woman? What are y'all trying to say?
no, there's a lot of like arguments about Kim, like in general, Kardashians taking black features and making it like white adjacent, like putting them into the white culture and presenting them like you know acceptable when those same features exist in black people. It's not acceptable, but when they have it, it's fine. There has been like that sort of, from what I like, you know so it just like adds up to your point. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, no. I mean, people like to say, oh, Kim is curvy and Kim has a big ass and that sort of thing. There's unfortunately a lot of people in the world. There's unfortunately, this might be hard for us to imagine, but there's unfortunately a lot of people who see that and don't associate that with black figures at all. There's a lot of people in the world who see big, thick lips and think, oh, you got the Russian lip job. You get what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who see a fat ass and they say, oh, you got a fat ass like Jennifer Lopez. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't see that as essentially black features. I know, no, EU just said it again. EU, no, no, no. We as black people and people who know black people might know that those are black features, but a lot of white people don't, unfortunately. And on top of that, Kim is a white woman carrying out through the world, not explicitly saying that she gets her features from black people. So I hate that argument. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. The Kim Kardashian look is a white woman who's just curvy look. It's not a white woman who is who is advertising blackness
Hmm.
as if blackness is all about curves. Because even if you go to Africa right now, yes, you will see a lot of niash, but there are regular skinny girls there, fat girls there, girls with no ass, girls with all sorts of stuff. And the same thing applies for black men. Like imagine right now there was a white man with a big ass dick, and this white man who was famous for a big ass dick was famous. Pete Davidson or Tommy Lee Anderson,
John Cena.
John Cena. Wait, John Cena got a big dick?
I thought he did. No, I
How,
did.
see, why do you think John Cena got a big dick? I'm gonna smack you.
I did porn, but I thought just because he's a porn star, he would have a big dick. I don't know.
Oh, you mean Johnny Sins? Because you said John Cena.
See, I don't know my porn star.
Anyway, imagine there was a white man who was famous for having a big ass dick, and then people said, "Hey, man, uh, you know, uh, Big Dick Billy Bob is famous around the world. He's famous for black features. So are you saying black men are just famous for having big ass dicks?" I know I got a big ass dick, but that doesn't mean every black man has a big ass dick. You get what I'm saying? Like that's
Yeah,
dumb to tie Kim's curvy features to black people as if we're all, you know, curvy. You get what I'm saying?
yeah, no, I understand. Obviously, not any stereotype is not applicable to any like all people of that stereotype. Uh, but they were just from like the videos I watched and stuff like that. They were just arguing that they were taking good sides of black features, and adapting it to whiteness. It's not that they were representing blackness. It was just that they were basically like kind of stealing it. That was the argument.
Right, right, right. Uh, this is a crazy live stream. This is a crazy stream. We only have a few minutes left. We're about to get off of here real quick, maybe in about 5 minutes. So y'all get your questions off. Anyway, Acti and I really chopped it up about trans people. We're probably going to get canceled for this later.
I know.
But I'll just end with this at least. A lot of people think, as parents, the best thing for us to do is protect our children from the world. But I think the worst thing for parents to do, obviously, at least from my opinion, is to think that their children don't know what's best for them within limits. One of the reasons I have a very big problem with my dad to this day is that I knew, like I said earlier, I was not going to be a Christian no matter what. It did not make sense to me. And I had no problems with Christians at all. It wasn't like I hated the church or I wanted to, burn Bibles or anything. I just said, yo, this thing is not for me. Just like how you don't like cheesecake or you don't like sushi, Christianity is not my cup of tea. But my dad forced me to go to church, fought me, beat me, all sorts of stuff. And that sort of stuff turned me off from it even more. As a child might know at the age he's 13, 14, 15, that he does not like women, or he does not like, or she does not like men, or she does not identify as a she, or he might not identify as a he. That has nothing to do with indoctrination, you know, that has nothing to do with outside people influencing their mind. If you're a good parent and you're out there spending time with your kid, talking to your kid, what society tells your kid about the world doesn't automatically overspeak what you said. Because if you're a good parent, what you say will matter more to your kid than what they see on Instagram or social media. So that's what I have to say. Do you
Yeah.
have anything on that?
I definitely agree, because when your kid needs help, especially during like those sorts of times where they are not sure about, like, who they want to identify as or what they want to do, they would come to you. If you're a good parent, they would come to you first rather than googling it, or I don't know, like looking it for in social media, or they would believe you more if you are a good kid. And also, like, just another thing that I want to add is that um at that age, children are trying to, like, sort of, separate themselves from their parents just to be able to create a new ideology. Like, just think about your own childhood. That's when you kind of like want to separate from your parents, and because that's what you've known for your life, and that's the period for creating your own new identity. And when you tell your child, know, oh, think about it, maybe this is not the right thing for you, about, like, transitioning and those sort of stuff, that is just going to make them want to think about it more and want to do them more, because they're trying to, like, you know kind of
Right.
separate themselves from you. So I don't know.
Right. Yeah, and so like you said, you might push your child to do it even more, especially if you're anti it. And I just want to make it clear, like if my son or daughter said they wanted to transition, and just to be real, hopefully they don't. Not because I have a problem with trans people, but because I know the world might be hard on them. I'm just gonna say, let's give it a few months. I'm not gonna say wait till you're 18. I'm just gonna say let's talk about it more, let's research it more. Because number one, your daddy's broke. Daddy don't got money for for uh, testosterone pills. You get what I'm saying? So I gotta look into that more. But let's get into some comments. I want to read some comments. So C Doggo, let's go back to C Doggo.
Okay.
Okay. So C Doggo said, in the Balkans there is racism in the most stupid way. I have many Romanian friends. They call me Bozgar and Mongolian many times for fun. I can do nothing about it.
White against white racism, that's not racism, guys. Y'all are the same race. Can you stop?
I love acting. She knows all the talking points. She knows it so well.
Yeah, it's not racism. It's called something else. It's called hatefulness. It's called discrimination. Something. It's not
It's
racism.
it's nationalism. It's ethnic bigotry.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, we are controlled by our mentality. We know not enough about it. But if someone have mental issue, it does not mean his feeling are wrong or should be supported by some way. I don't know exactly what he's talking about here,
I don't
but
know.
yeah, just on the Balkan racism, yeah, there's anti-black racism in the Balkans. I've been called nigger multiple times in the Balkans. I went to Albania and had a generally horrible time, but being called nigger like out in the streets, open. So yeah, there's a lot of racism in the Balkans, but racism is discrimination against a race of people. And newsflash, Sea Doggo, Hungarians, Romanians, Serbians, Croatians, Germans, French, Italians, if they are white, they are of the same race. What y'all have going on is just white people infighting, trailer park scuffles, uh, methamphetamine brawls. All right,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Uh, EU said, I don't think that's the same as asking about race because are there not cases where people change their minds on the decision to transition? Yeah, there are cases where people have changed their mind to decision on the decision to transition, but
Very
the
weird.
it's very rare, right?
Yeah.
I
I
think a lot.
the statistics while we were talking earlier because I think Sea Doggo brought it up before, but the highest rate is 8%. So it's like it's between 1% to 8% depending on the research.
Right, and
The
thinking about the number.
transitioning rates.
Yeah, and thinking about the number of people that transition, which is very, very, very small. That's like 10 people. 10
Basically,
people want to detransition after the thousands that want to. You know, so
yeah.
um,
I don't know, like just just because I have it in front of me, only 35% of trans people transition, and out of that 35%, the 10% want to detransition.
okay, and yeah, Sea Doggo is talking crazy. The Hungarian community called Maghi Arabs, descended from Hungarian Janissaries. Search for them, they exist. So, once again, the Turks sent people all over North Africa, some parts of the coast of the Red Sea, into the Arabian Peninsula, and into the Middle East, and some of those people settled there. They are not slaves like what we saw in the Eugene Savoy statue. They were not people sent there with their hands tied behind their back, ready to work as what we consider slaves. What the Ottomans considered slaves of the Janissaries. The Janissaries were a type of slave, yes, but these were men who were trained from little boys to be soldiers, Muslim soldiers for the Ottoman Empire. These are not people like what we saw in the Eugene Savoy statue. Number one, the Ottomans kidnapped children to be soldiers. They did not kidnap grown men like what we saw in the statue. So those are two different things. And once again, Sea Doggo, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be white. This is the problem. A lot of white people don't understand it's okay to be white. They have to always find a reason that white people have been victimized too. Hungarians have not been victimized. Y'all had an empire. Y'all fought for your empire. Your empire won some, you lost some. Okay? Y'all are not a victimized people. It's okay. I'm sorry. Acty, are you
It's
bored?
okay. Yeah, no, no. I mean, I'm not bored. I wanted to look what the fuck was Magyarab, and I'm reading Wikipedia a little bit. I was just like looking at some
No,
things.
tell me what you found. Tell me what you found.
So, I mean, obviously, Magi Arab is like Magyar and Arab, so it's like Hungarian and Arab. And basically, this is one of the first sentences in Wikipedia, and I'll just read this. According to legend, Christian Hungarians who had only recently been brought under the control of the Ottoman Empire formed a part of the Ottoman army. Army. that was fighting in southern Egypt. Fighting. Supposedly a portion or the entirety of the fighting unit remained there and intermarried with the local Numidian woman. And that's why you have Hungarian Arabs.
But this is according to what?
Legend.
Legend. Has
Yeah.
there been any sort of historical document? What are they saying? Like, what is in the Wikipedia? Do they have like a real historical source? Has anybody actually? This is just legend, right?
No, not a historical source. It says, according to local Maghrabs, their ancestor was Ibrahim el Maigar, a general who came from Buddha, and he married a Nubian woman, and that's it.
So one white guy. There might have been one Hungarian who was like ended up in Sudan, and he married a black girl, and they won't shut up about it. This is the thing. This
And he went through Ottoman Empire because Ottoman Empire was the controller of that period, but they were not slaves. Once again, they were in the army.
they were
They,
in the army, but
there were there were Hungarian slaves in Ottoman Empire, but they were not sent to Sudan. If that makes sense.
this is another part of the this might seem unrelated, but a lot of places in the Arab world, you'll notice, and Sudan is in the Arab world. It's a black ass country where everybody speaks Arabic, and they think they're Arabs too. Whatever. A large part of the Arab world always likes to talk about, oh, we really came from. We're not really Egyptian. Long time ago, we really came from France. Oh, we really came from Germany. Oh, we really came from Italians or something like that. They
Yeah.
love to do this in the Arab world. If you know Arabs, for real, they love to always talk about some distant white relative that they have, showing the white supremacy on their mind. They love to always tie themselves. But do any I just have to ask this. Do any white people ever try to tie themselves back to Africa? Do anybody ever brag, oh, deep down inside, we really came from Nigeria. We're not really Turkish. We're not really Hungarian. We're not really whatever. We're really Cameroonian. We're really from Congo or something like that. Showing the white supremacy in their mind. And number one, this is all a legend. See, doggo, let it go. Let it go. Salute to the one Hungarian that went down there and smashed a big booty Nubian Niash. Okay, congrats. Get over it. Y'all were not slaves. It's okay. It's okay to say that the Eugene Savoy statue in Buddha has a black man in chains. That's obvious. If it was a Hungarian, why does he look like me? The statue does not look like you, Sea Doggo. I'm sure you're a handsome man, but you're very pasty. Your cheekbones are not this low. You do not have a thin, strong jawline, and you do not exude big dick energy like that statue did. I'm gonna keep it real with you. See, doggo, unfortunately, you're not the statue. Hungarians were not slaves in the Sudan. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. That's the last time I'm talking about this. I'm so sick of this.
Okay. I think it's time to wrap it up. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. This is a crazy live stream. This is sort of all over the place. We started talking about everything, but listen, I want to say thank you to everybody who showed up, especially thank you, Avery Adams. Let's clap for Avery once more time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Shout out to C Doggo, EU, Ozzy, uh, what's his name? Booty. What was the guy's name?
Voodoo. Wait.
Boo Boo Bandit. Boo Boo.
Not not Boo Boo Bandit. Boo Boo Gang.
That's a funny name. Boo Boo. Yeah, shout out to Boo Boo Gang. That's hilarious. Well, this is a hilarious live stream. I never had.
I I didn't expect like people to be this active because I felt like this would be something they don't want to discuss or they're not
Mm,
interested in. But I was glad that people are thinking about this because just because we're straight doesn't mean we don't have to deal with this because any of us can have like a gay son or a you know, transgender daughter or whatever, like,
mm,
or not like maybe not necessarily our like daughters or sons, it could be like the people in our family. So it's also important for us to understand
Yeah.
and acknowledge them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's all about love at the end of the day. I think a lot of people have a lot of hate in their heart for trans people and stuff like that. But Acti, I love you.
I
It's
love
all
and I'm gonna make fun of you because you always say that I want to say everyone close their eyes and not see color and sex and gender. You're sounding just like me. What happened now, huh?
no, because I think that's what we're all missing. We're all missing the love here, you know? That's all that's what
You
it's all
guys
about.
love each other.
Anyway, yeah, shout out to C Doggo. C Doggo, thank you for sticking in. You know, we might get heated in these live streams, we might get crazy in these live streams. I have my opinion, you have your opinion. Respect to you, you know, whoever you are. Shout out to EU. Your opinions were very valid, very good questions. Shout out to Avery Adams, of course. Shout out to Ozzy. Shout out to Boo Boo Gang. And yeah, I hope you guys stay tuned. We do these live streams all the time. I do live streams almost every day, but we do these live streams every Sunday at least. Acti and I are here every Sunday. So come in every Sunday. We're going to chop it up with y'all and build. So thank you for watching and peace.